Okay, out there, this is Shawn again. I just wanted to kind of show you how cheaply you could get into doing trees, okay? You don't have to start out with the big pole saws, the forestry saws. You don't have to start out with chainsaws. You know, you can forget about that for just at the moment, okay? Now, obviously this is just for the brand new guys. However, if you've already started, you know, if you're not pruning small stuff and if you're not doing fence clearing, that is huge money, okay? I will talk about some jobs that I've done fence clearing and it's been just thousands of dollars, okay? So starting out, this would be bare bones, dirt cheap, okay? And this will blow your mind just how much money you can get like per day and stuff if you haven't done this before, okay? So tree loppers, okay? Now, I buy all this stuff from Walmart and I buy Fiskars. I will not buy a cheaper brand than that, period. So the tree loppers that I have, they do have like a little gear on to where it makes them go, that cuts really smooth. I can't remember what they've trademarked that name as and all that specialty deal to make it easy to cut, but whatever. They're about $33 to $35 at Walmart, somewhere in that neighborhood, okay? They'll cut a couple inches thick, okay, on a branch. Just depends on the species of wood. The harder the wood, you know, the smaller the branch it'll cut and so on. So your hand pruners, those right there are Fiskars as well, and all of this stuff is. So the hand pruners, they will cut things that are really small. So as you'll find out from the ANSI A300 pruning standards, that is hugely important. So remember that, okay? ANSI A300 pruning standards. If you don't know what those are, you can quickly learn because there's illustrations in it. You can go online, just go on to Google and Google that, and it'll be a PDF version that you can pull up and you can print it or you can just read it online, okay? Once you've learned those pruning standards, you can do a lot of damage with just these three tools here. So the hand pruners have to prune the really small limbs, okay? Because that way your pull saw won't tear out the bark. That is the key to this, okay? Do not tear out bark on these trees. Even though you're starting out, you can quickly learn how not to do that, okay? Now, then the tree loppers, you have to actually, this is why there's three tools. You'll actually learn how to use each one for the appropriate size of limb, okay? If it's a small enough limb that you can get the pruner to the correct location where you prune a tree, which is outside the bark collar, okay? And you never cut into the bark ridge. That's completely explained, guys, on those terms and everything, okay? So you have to use the correct tool for the correct diameter limb you're doing or the correct situation. Sometimes it'll be hard to get a big tree pruner in, so you might have to use a pull saw. So on a pull saw, you know, when you pull it back, that's the only time it cuts. It doesn't cut when you push it forward. That's why it's called a pull saw. All tree saws that's professional or at least very good quality will only cut that way, okay? These are not like the carpenter saws, okay? Don't use anything except for trees because these right here are super sharp. They have to be because for when you're pruning, you need really smooth cuts, okay? So, and you'll see that this is 77 bucks, and you know, you might have to allow a little bit for taxes in there depending on the exact pruners you pick out. They do have pretty good hand pruners for like 12, 13 bucks, and they're still Fiskars brand. I just like that particular model. So you could get these prices down, but you don't want to get too low or otherwise you may not be able to finish the job before someone gets dollar breaks because you guys know what, you know, terrible quality gets you, okay? So my very first tree job before I purchased my bucket truck, okay, we actually went out and did a fence clearing job, okay? And then we trimmed up like 5 cedar trees that were in the middle of the yard. We didn't need a bucket truck or anything. And it was 900 bucks, okay? So these tools right here, they can do amazingly good work for you starting out, okay? You can get amazing pruning jobs if you look for those, if you advertise that. So, because you gotta realize after you've done 900 bucks, you can really go out there and buy a chainsaw or a forestry saw or a weed eater. The only other thing like that you have to have when you're doing these fence clearing jobs of that size is, you know, you need a wheelbarrow, you need pitchfork, you need rakes and things. But you can borrow them, or if you're in a big city, a lot of times you can rent anything under the sun, okay, if you could afford just to get started. Now I know a lot of you guys, you know, you may be literally just like, hey, I want to do trees, but I have zero money to do this right now, okay? You know, you can get used equipment, you can do all that. You can go on to Craigslist like Keith Kalfas talks about. sky's the limit. You can borrow stuff from friends. I think Keith, did say that he had someone that he knew in landscaping, and then he could borrow some of his stuff for a fee. You might work out something like that. You just figure out what will work for you and where you can get the equipment that you need to do these jobs. But I'm just saying, if this is what you've got, then sell that equipment, okay? You can get a little El Cheapo trailer, or you can get a pickup, and then you can start loading down the back of that thing with all your debris, okay? Some of these, there are guys actually here in Atoka where I am, and they literally don't have any way of hauling brush. So they'll just do the job and then they'll leave the brush. A lot of times that is the case, A lot of people will have a pile to put this stuff in, they'll burn, or they have someone that can haul it off for them. They just need a tree guy to come in and do it the way it needs to be done, and then they'll worry about that other later. So this is bare bones. And let's say when you're first starting out, if you're not comfortable with charging a whole lot, you may only be 20 bucks an hour. I don't recommend that. Now, I would recommend that you don't ever start out less than 30 bucks. So once you've learned your pruning standards and you do have some knowledge, okay, you really do need to be at 30 bucks an hour, even when you're learning, okay? I will put down some information up here that kind of shows you what you need to be at per hour, even when you're starting off to when you start progressing. And because I'm basically, no matter what I do now, I'm over 100 an hour. So I will kind of explain this, and I hope it makes sense. And I'll have to explain my expenses so that you can understand why that's 100 an hour. Because the only reason that you ever know, like, okay, this is going to be what I charge personally, like when you do this, you'll have to understand your expenses before you'll know what you can charge per hour, because otherwise you may be charging way more than is necessary, which if you can get more, then that's great, but otherwise it might cause you to lose a lot of customers. And then you don't want to charge too little, because that will just destroy your company doing that. So I just wanted to put this up here and kind of tell you could easily achieve 30 bucks an hour with this, provided you've got at least a pickup and a trailer, or whatever your setup that way wants to be. And we go through, like, we might buy a couple of loppers at a time, and then we buy the replaceable blades. The hand pruners, we have always got 3 or 4 of those, okay, because I do have several guys now. And then the pull saws, we'll buy a couple, because sometimes the guys do run it across barbed wire when we're doing fences, or chain link fence, or they might bend the blade. They're so cheap at 20 bucks, they're not like those $80 ones, we just buy whole new saws. It's no big deal. So I wanted to run these numbers by you, and then I will kind of do a breakdown of, what you can achieve, because once you know what you're doing, you could easily get 60 bucks an hour with this. That's $1 a minute, and you can start making really good money like this, okay? When I was making that $6 an hour, okay, or when I was even making the $10 an hour, the $15 an hour, if I had just known this, then my gosh, I would have pursued a lot more, because my dad didn't do tree pruning like this. So that's why I wanted to talk about this, okay? This is kind of new to me, as of, I've really been hardcore doing this starting last year. So thanks, guys. I hope this insight has helped you. My next video will be about hourly rates, okay? Thanks, guys.